Bar can now group windows opened by a single application into one taskbar button, with a pop-up menu listing the individual windows. The notification area also hides inactive icons by default. A common tasks list was added, and Windows Explorer's sidebar was updated to use a new task-based design with lists of common actions. The tasks displayed are contextually relevant to the type of content in a folder. For example, a folder with music displays offers to play all the files in the folder, or burn them to a CD. 24. The task grouping feature introduced in Windows XP, showing both grouped and individual items. Fast user switching allows additional users to log into a Windows XP machine without existing user shaving to close their programs and log out. Although only one user at the time can use the console, I.E. monitor, keyboard, and mouse, previous users can resume their session once they regain control of the console. 25. Service Pack 2 and Service Pack 3 also introduced new features to Windows XP post-release, including the Windows Security Center, Bluetooth support, the executable space protection, Windows Firewall, and support for SDHC cards that are larger than 4 GB and smaller than 32 GB. 26, 27, 28, 29. Infrastructure. Windows XP uses prefetching to improve startup and application launch times. 30. It also became possible to revert the installation of an updated device driver, should the updated driver produce undesirable error results. 31. A copy protection system known as Windows Product Activation was introduced with Windows XP and its server counterpart, Windows Server 2003. All Windows licenses must be tied to a unique ID generated using information from the computer hardware, transmitted either via the internet or a telephone hotline. If Windows is not activated within 30 days of installation, the OS will cease to function until it is activated. Windows also periodically verifies the hardware to check for changes. If significant hardware changes are detected, the activation is voided, and Windows must be reactivated. 32. Networking and Internet functionality. Windows XP was originally bundled with Internet Explorer 6, Outlook Express 6, Windows Messenger and MSN Explorer. New networking features were also added, including Internet Connection Firewall, Internet Connection Sharing integration with UPnP, NAT Traversal APIs, Quality of Service features, IPv6 and TODO tunneling, Background Intelligent Transfer Service, Extended fax features, network bridging. Peer-to-peer networking, support for most DSL modems, IEEE 802.11, Wi-Fi, connections with auto-configuration and roaming, TPI 3.1, and networking over FireWire. 33. Remote assistance and remote desktop were also added, which allow users to connect to a computer running Windows XP from across a network or the internet and access their applications, files, printers, and devices or request help. 34. Improvement. TOM. In networking, NetBEUI, NWLink and NetDDE were deprecated.
Yes, that happened when I'm sleepy. I click by mistake. We have to read from the top again.
Peer-to-peer networking, support for most DSL modems, IEEE 802.11, Wi-Fi, connections with auto-configuration and roaming, TPI 3.1, and networking over FireWire. 33. Remote assistance and remote desktop were also added, which allow users to connect to a computer running Windows XP from across a network or the internet and access their applications, files, printers, and devices or request help. 34. Improvements were also made to IntelliMirror features such as offline files, roaming user profiles, and folder redirection. 35. Backwards compatibility. To enable running software that targets or locks out specific versions of Windows, compatibility mode was added. The feature allows pretending a selected earlier version of Windows to software, starting at Windows 95.36. While this ability was first introduced in Windows 2000 Service Pack 2, it had to be activated through the register server and was only available to administrator users, whereas Windows XP has it activated out of box and also grants it to regular users. 37. Other features. Improved application compatibility and shims compared to Windows 2000.38. DirectX 8.1, upgradable to DirectX 9.0c.39. A number of new features in Windows Explorer including task panes, thumbnails, and the option to view photos as a slideshow. 40. Improved imaging features such as Windows Picture and Fax Viewer. 41. Faster startup. Because of improved prefetch functions, log on, log off, hibernation, and application launch sequences. 30. Numerous improvements to increase the system reliability such as improved system restore. 42. Automated system recovery. 43. And driver reliability improvements through device driver rollback. 44. Hardware support improvements such as FireWire 800. 45. And improvements to multi-monitor support under the name DualView. 46. Fast user switching. 47. The ClearType font rendering mechanism, which is designed to improve text readability on Liquid Crystal display, LCD, and similar monitors, especially laptops. 21. Side-by-side assemblies. 48. And registration-free COM. 49. General improvements to international support such as more locales, languages and scripts. MUI support in terminal services, improved input method editors, and national language support. 50. Removed features. Some of the programs and features that were part of the previous versions of Windows did not make it to Windows XP. Various MS-DOS commands available in its Windows 9X predecessor were removed. 51. As were the POSIX and OS/2 subsystems. 52. In networking, NetBEUI, NWLink and NetDDE were deprecated and not installed by default. 53. Plug and play incompatible communication devices, like modems and network interface cards, were no longer supported. 54. Service Pack 2 and Service Pack 3 also removed features from Windows XP, including support for CTHAF open connections. 55. And the address bar on the taskbar. 56. Additions. Diagram representing the main additions of Windows XP. It is based on the category of the edition, Gray, and Codebase, Black Arrow. Windows XP was released in two major editions on launch, Home Edition and Professional Edition. Both editions were made available at retail as preloaded software on new computers and as boxed copies. Boxed copies were sold as upgrade or full licenses. The upgrade versions were slightly cheaper, but require an existing version of Windows to install. The full version can be installed on systems without an operating system or existing version of Windows. 18. The two editions of XP were aimed at different markets. Home Edition is explicitly intended for consumer use and disables or removes certain advanced and enterprise-oriented features present on Professional, such as the ability to join a Windows domain, Internet Information Services, and multilingual user interface. Windows 98 or ME can be upgraded to either edition, but Windows NT 4.0 and Windows 2000 can only be upgraded to Professional. 57. Windows Software License Agreement for preloaded licenses allows the software to be returned to the OEM for a refund if the user does not wish to use it. 58. Despite the refusal of some manufacturers to honor the entitlement, it has been enforced by courts in some countries. 59. Two specialized variants of XP were introduced in 2002 for certain types of hardware, exclusively through OEM channels as preloaded software. Windows XP Media Center Edition was initially designed for high-end home theater PCs with TV tuners, marketed under the term Media Center PC, offering expanded multimedia functionality, an electronic program guide, and digital video recorder, DVR, support. 30 Windows Media Center Application. 60. Microsoft also unveiled Windows XP Tablet PC Edition, which contains additional pen input features, and is optimized for mobile devices meeting its tablet peak specifications. 61. Two different 64-bit editions of XP were made available. The first, Windows XP 64-bit edition, was intended for IA64, Itanium, systems, as IA64 usage declined on workstations in favor of AMD's x86-64 architecture. The Itanium edition was discontinued in January 2005. 62. A new 64-byte edition supporting the x86-64 architecture, called Windows XP Professional X64 Edition, was released in April of the same year. 63. Microsoft also targeted emerging markets with the 2004 introduction of Windows XP Starter Edition, our special variant of Home Edition intended for low-cost PCs. The OS is primarily aimed at first-time computer owners, containing heavy localization, including wallpapers and screensavers incorporating images of local landmarks, and a My Support area which contains video tutorials on basic computing tasks. It also removes certain complex features, and does not allow users to run more than 3 applications at a time. After a pilot program in India and Thailand, Starter was released in other emerging markets throughout 2005. 64. In 2006, Microsoft also unveiled the FlexGo initiative, which would also target emerging markets with subsidized PCs on a prepaid, subscription basis. 65. As a result of unfair competition lawsuits in Europe and South Korea, which both alleged that Microsoft had improperly leveraged its status in the PC market to favor its own bundled software, Microsoft was ordered to release special editions of XP in these markets that excluded certain applications. In March 2004, after the European Commission fined Microsoft €497 million, $603 million, Microsoft was ordered to release editions of XP that excluded Windows Media Player, encouraging users to pick and download their own media player software. 66. As it was sold at the same price as the edition with Windows Media Player included, certain OEMs, such as Dell, who offered it for a short period, along with Hewlett-Packard, Lenovo and Fujitsu Siemens, chose not to offer it. Consumer interest was minuscule, with roughly 1,500 units shipped to OEMs, and no reported sales to consumers. 67. In December 2005, the Korean Fair Trade Commission ordered Microsoft to make available editions of Windows XP and Windows Server 2003 that do not contain Windows Media Player or Windows Messenger. 68. The K&KN editions of Windows XP were released in August 2006, and are only available in English and Korean, and also contain links to third-party instant messenger and media player. Software. 69. Service packs. A service pack is a cumulative update package that is a superset of all updates, and even service packs, that have been released before it. 70. 3 service packs have been released for Windows XP. Service Pack 3 is slightly different, in that it needs at least Service Pack 1 to have been installed, in order to update a LiveOS.71. However, Service Pack 3 can still be embedded into a Windows installation disk. SP1 is not reported as a prerequisite for doing so. 72. The unique boot screens from the RTM to Service Pack 1 versions of Windows XP that identified the edition of Windows XP currently running, including a green progress bar for Home Edition and a blue progress bar for Professional. Embedded, Tablet PC Edition, and Media Center Edition were removed in Service Pack 2 of Windows XP and was replaced with a generic Windows XP boot screen with a blue progress bar. Service Pack 1. Service Pack 1, SP1, for Windows XP was released on the 9th of September, 2002. It contained over 300 minor post-RTM bug fixes, along with all security patches released since the original release of XP. SP1 also had USB 2.0 support, the Microsoft Java Virtual Machine, .NET Framework support, and support for technologies used by the then upcoming Media Center and Tablet PC editions of XP. 73. The most significant change on SP1 was the addition of Set Program Access and Defaults, a settings page which allows programs to be set as default for certain types of activities, such as media players or web browsers, and for access to bundled Microsoft programs, such as Internet Explorer or Windows Media Player, to be disabled. This feature was added to comply with the settlement of United States v. Microsoft Corporation, which required Microsoft to offer the ability for OEMs to bundle third-party competitors to software it bundles with Windows, such as Internet Explorer and Windows Media Player, and give them the same level of prominence as those normally bundled with the OS. 74. On the 3rd of February, 2003, Microsoft.
Yes, I need a break. I need to go to bathroom. The video splits in a few minutes, and it's 11:30. I'm a little bit sleepy today because I was looking at PC computer hardware on Dennis and uploads. Spent the power on this camcorder. So that's just another grey day in Denmark, grey winter day. You have to get used to that. We have 1 minute before the video splitting. We can drink some cola. So I will just continue. I'm early retired on pension, and I've been on pension like 20 years, like I was age 35, so I have been living like this 20 years, too many years, getting up to like nothing. So my new hobby will be old PC computer. If I had to sit alone in my apartment the next 20 years, I need to have something to do. So I like to start collect the old PC computers. And the old operating systems. So I need to get computer with Windows XP and Windows 98. I'll do that later. I already have 3 computers there. But I need to go to bathroom. We can charge the camcorder a little bit.